OLED panels and TVs have become the talk of the town and are basically the panel of choice for many gamers. This revolutionary panel is just entering the PC market, and more PC gamers are looking towards an OLED panel as their next choice. As an OLED TV owner, I do see the benefits of that panel, but when it comes to the PC gaming market, I'm not too sure how it translates over. Of course, that elephant in the room where a static image might burn into the panel. But how is the overall experience of using an OLED monitor on a PC gaming hardware? So what is the big deal with OLED panels? OLED is organic light emitting diode. So basically they're able to kind of light on and off based on the image that it wants to present. So if a scene is quite dark, the diode will literally just fully turn off. So it will be pitch black. It will actually emulate a dark area. Similarly, if an area needs to be lit up in a specific way, because all of those diodes are controlled individually, it will of course present a better, more accurate image. So for this review, I picked up the Alienware AW3423DW, which is their G-Sync version, or the version that's meant for NVIDIA GPUs. Now there are a number of new OLED monitors coming out later this year, but this was the best one I could get right now. So the overall unboxing experience was pretty easy. I love how Alienware had kind of set everything up, where putting everything together, all the pieces together were easily laid out. The instructions were very clear. They also had a little sheet that had the calibration information, which was certified by a technician on the Alienware side, letting me know that this monitor has been calibrated to look the best. Thanks to the size of this monitor being quite reasonable compared to my Neo G9, it was very easy to kind of put in place and have everything set up. One of the first things I noticed when I turned the monitor on was that it had a lot of RGB lighting, especially around the back of the monitor, and I did not expect it to kind of shine so bright. Other than the power LED light, I do have everything turned off because I have my own lighting, so I don't want it to interfere with that, but I do like that that option has been included. Of course, since this is an OLED panel, the first thing you notice is how clear the image looks, especially when it comes to the color differentiation between something or an area that's colored or another area that's kind of black. You see that difference, and it does make an impact. This panel is also quite glossy in a way, so it is kind of a fingerprint magnet. In fact, I've actually made a fingerprint smudge on one part of the monitor, which is really hard to take off, surprisingly, even though I keep using the microfiber cloth. But it doesn't interfere with the actual monitor or what I see on the screen. But keep that in mind, make sure you don't put any sponges on there. Loading up some games on this, and yeah, like this is kind of what I expect with an OLED panel. I have a similar experience with my OLED C1. Everything looks clear, the game looks awesome, the game runs well as well. The OLED panels tend to have really good response times, so overall when you're playing any competitive shooters or any competitive games, you will have a good time. And on the other end, if you're playing a more story focused game, you'll again see everything very clear. All the areas will look nice. The HDR combined with the OLED panel is also quite immersive. It's overall a very good clear image. Having that ultra-wide ratio also benefits this quite a bit, at least for me, because I do like that aspect ratio. So that combined with the OLED panel is awesome, and being able to kind of see games in that perspective and also have those colors kind of really punch you in the face in a way is really great with this panel. The bezels are quite large, however you don't really notice it, especially because the panel itself is so vibrant that your focus kind of just stays on that and you don't really go edge to edge looking at the corners. But I can imagine that might be an issue for some people, especially if you do plan to kind of stack this with another monitor or have this monitor stacked right next to another monitor as well. The overall build quality is also great. It does look like a premium product, as it is, because it is quite expensive, but the Alienware design does kind of give it this futuristic gaming look. And also the bottom part, the stand itself, is very sturdy. It looks good, it meshes well, similar to the Samsung Neo G9. It does kind of mesh well, it doesn't really interfere with anything, but overall it just looks good, looks futuristic, and it looks something that will fit in with a good PC gaming space. This unfortunately does not have the aspect ratio changing option within the monitor itself, but of course you are able to kind of go on your PC itself and change there. But I do kind of like that option of having it on the monitor, so if I do want to connect my PlayStation or a console to it, I'll be able to kind of put that aspect ratio that I want. When it comes to HDR, there are two options. There's HDR 400 and there's HDR 1000. Essentially, HDR 1000 is aiming for 1000 nits of high luminance or whatever the brightness. So So you would normally want that. I'm not sure why you would choose the HDR400 option, but that was a cool option that they've kind of added if you do want to choose that one. Now I have a bright-ish room and I don't really notice anything reflecting off of it, even though it has that glossy finish, which is good. A thing that a lot of people kind of mention when it comes to OLED panels is that you need a dark room or an area that's not too well lit up. But in my case, it's well lit up-ish, and overall, I don't really notice any issues with it. But keep that in mind in case your monitor or anything like that will be facing toward the window or anything like that where the sunlight might come in. It might bounce on the monitor and you might not kind of get a clear image at that point. Now, key factor to take into consideration is, of course, the resolution. So with this ultra wide, it is 3440 by 1440p, and I am using a 4090. And that's something that you kind of have to consider when it comes to buying this. The same kind of advice I gave everyone with the Neo G9, same thing applies here. You're going to opt for a 1080p OLED monitor if that one's available. Then you need something that can kind of handle 1080p gaming. This monitor is able to go up to 175 refresh rate or hertz. And with my 4090, I'm able to kind of hit that most of the time, depending on the game, depending if I have DLSS or some weird technology on or off. My RTX 2080 is able to play at 4K outside with my LG C1 quite well. Obviously, you have to kind of tone stuff down and use DLSS or FSR or any of those upscaling technologies. But in most cases, a 2080 can handle a 4K resolution in most games. So with your GPU or with your setup, take that into consideration when you're picking this monitor up when it's ultra wide. Ultra wide monitors, especially this one that's 1440p, is higher than 1440p, but quite far below 4K image. So if your current setup can handle 1440p gaming quite well or quite competently, most cases it should be fine here. Now, of course, let's talk about burn-in. I've been using this monitor for almost a month now, and overall, I've had no issues at all. No burn-in image, nothing like that. The thing that you might notice happening behind me is kind of what I do to kind of protect it from burn-in. So people that don't know, burn-in happens when you have a static image stuck on an OLED panel for a long period of time. So what happens is that static image essentially gets burned into the panel. When it comes to this specific monitor, Alienware has given a 3-year warranty for any burn-in image. They are this confident in this panel for not having that issue. I should mention that I've seen enough Reddit posts and stuff online that a lot of people have had images burn in on this panel. This panel uses what is known as quantum dot OLED, which is supposed to be brighter than a regular OLED panel, and it's also supposed to be less resistant to burn-in. However, you can still get image burning into this panel. So 3-year warranty is obviously great. What I do to kind of make sure images don't burn in, especially since you are using this as a PC, I edit, I do other things on this computer. So obviously you will have images that just kind of stay there for a long period of time. The first thing I do is have a number of images keep rolling around. I'm not sure why the images split up into these two monitors like this, but just imagine that one image on this panel itself and just kind of rotating between a set of images that I have. The other thing is that I just hide the taskbar so it auto hides automatically, and I also don't have any desktop icons visible. Now, of course, I'm going through a lot of work for this to kind of make sure this doesn't happen, and that might not be very appealing to you. I just kind of go in with the mindset that, hey, I'm gonna do this, and if something happens, it's fine, I'll deal with it, I'll send it back for warranty. But if you're someone that says, you know what, I'm just gonna use it like I normally do, perfect, do exactly that. I'm just kind of doing this because that's just kind of how my mind works. I get a little stressed out otherwise. But if you want to use it as a normal panel, like a normal computer, and if you have issue later on, you can always send it back to Alienware. They'll give you a new one. At the same time, you should use it how you would want to use this panel. So don't worry about that. They are confident that this shouldn't happen to most people. And the people that do happen, I should mention it's, you know, one out of many, right? There's a lot of people that have bought this panel and have had no issues at all. So overall, this monitor is great. I do really like it. When it comes to OLED monitors and OLED panels in general, I'm kind of at a point where it's just old news in a way. I'm not of that mind that OLED is the best thing ever and that's the only way moving forward. As I kind of mentioned with the Neo G9, which has a mini LED panel, it's more about what type of monitor kind of gets you immersed in your experience. Now, it should be noted that I already have an OLED panel with the LG C1, so I've been using that TV for a while. So having this kind of panel here as my monitor wasn't as impressive. To me, it was very much, yep, this is an OLED monitor and cool, like everything looks nice, and that was it. It didn't have that wow factor that I had with the Neo G9 where when I was playing any game, I was just so immersed. I was just so surprised that something like that existed. And even with that, the image quality and everything was so great on the new G9 that for not even a second, I thought to myself that, hey, you know what? I need an OLED version of this right now. I will most likely put this OLED monitor onto my sim rig and put this panel somewhere else and keep my Neo G9 in the center, because that's kind of what I enjoy playing games on. That's kind of where I want to just exist most of the time, because everything just looks so great and all the images and even just the way the games are shown is just so impressive. If you're someone for whom this will be the first OLED panel ever, yes, this will be awesome. You will be wowed, you will be surprised, and you will have a great time. And you might be one of those people after that think that OLED is kind of the thing moving forward, and good on you. This might be the thing that kind of brings you into that fold. If you're someone that has OLED panels and loves OLED panels in general, then yes, getting this, yep, you will have a great time. You will have a good investment on your hand and something where you will be able to play your games and do your office work and have no issues at all. But from what I've said, and if you're someone like me that likes having OLED panels but doesn't think it's this huge wow thing moving forward, I would definitely recommend checking out something which is a little bit different. Maybe something like the super ultra wide, or maybe going up a resolution, or maybe trying something new, switching to VR, which is completely different, but something different to kind of wow you, because it will not have that wow factor. So thank you everyone for joining. It really means a lot. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please like, comment, all that stuff. You know what to do. I'll see you next time. Bye.